Hi guys, Arthur here from Homeowner DIY. In today's video, I'm going to do an overview of an electric water heater. I replaced this water heater earlier this week. Since I have time and space, we can really go through the details on the parts and how to go about maintaining a water heater. Now, no matter what you do, a water heater is eventually going to start leaking. It's just a fact of life. But by the end of this video, you guys will know parts of a water heater, what you need for regular maintenance, and tools that you're going to need to service a water heater. So what we'll do now is we'll go through all the parts of our water heater. Alright, so this is our water heater. So this is the decal for the water heater. This is a ream. This decal, it has the capacity 175 liters or 40 gallons. For your elements, it has the specs for your elements, so 3000, 2250, 3000, 2250. So the top and bottom element are the same. Model number, serial number. So going to the top, we have our hot and our cold. It says cold here, our hot here. This is our TMP, our temperature and pressure relief. It says relief valve. This is also commonly going to be on the side. This here, remove the plastic cover. This is an anode. It says anode here. This is a rod that is, it's a sacrificial rod. This will rod out and it's supposed to spare the life of your tank. But like with anything else, these need to be replaced. A long time ago when I looked into this, I couldn't find a replacement, but they have replacement rods now. So this is our upper element. Our power on this one goes in through the side. It's not uncommon to have the power come in through the top. So there is our top element with the cover on. This is our bottom element. This is our drain. So you have two styles. You have a globe style, which is this, that you just keep turning until it's all the way open. And then you can also have a quarter turn style. Alright, so the TMP has a wing that's going to open and close. If your temperature gets too high, this will open. If your pressure gets too high, this will open. So when you lift the wing up, that's going to draw this up and allow water to escape. So if you want to drain your tank out faster, leave this open as well as the drain, and this will allow air to come in. Once the water has gone down, then this will allow air, but remember that you have to shut your cold feed off, otherwise you'll just keep bringing more water into the system. Alright, so for our top and bottom element, there are two screws. This is a Phillips. So we have a small piece of insulation. So as far as I know, all water heaters for the element and the thermostat, they have this little plastic cover that you just pull off and it'll come off. So what we have here is we have our element down here, and then this is our thermostat. So down here you can adjust the temperature. I would say this is set at 140. I'd say 140 is the absolute minimum that you want. If your water temperature is too low, you can actually have bacteria starting to grow in your tank, and then you can get smelly water. But for this one here, our power comes into here, and then these two wires would connect to our power. Alright, if you want to adjust the temperature, you have a slot right here. So all you do is take your slot screwdriver, and then you can turn, and then the needle will move to the temperature setting. Like I said, I believe 140 is the absolute minimum, because if the temperature is too low, you can get bacteria starting to grow into your tank, and then your water will smell bad. For our element, if you want to test the element, pull one of the wires off and then do a continuity test between this screw and this screw. Guys, I already did a video. I will link it into the description if you want to see how to test an element. And if you want to replace an element, you put the 1.5" socket here and just unscrew it, and then the element will come out. And guys, up here is a reset button as well. So if you run into a problem, I would say the first thing to do is hit the reset button and see if that is going to fix your problem before you go any further. All right, this is our lower element. So the water heater started leaking and water, I guess, came across. This is rusted. This is all burned. This actually, it flipped the breaker. And I think that's how the homeowner realized that the water heater was leaking. But, I mean, you can see how badly charred this all is. This looks terrible. And then, guys, at the very bottom, we have our drain. So you can either have a quarter turn or you can have a globe style. This is a globe style that you just keep turning it until it's all the way open. Now, when I drained this tank out, it was going so slowly. I started rocking the tank because I wanted to know how much weight was in it if I could remove it. And when I was rocking the tank, the water actually started to flow faster out of the drain, which means there's so much sludge in the tank that the drain was blocked off pretty good. All right, so this is our anode. An anode is essentially a rod. This is a 27 millimeter. I actually had to get a 1/2 inch impact because a breaker bar, I couldn't get this out with a breaker bar, but if we undo it, that is what's left of the anode. I believe this water heater was original to the unit, 15 years old, and the reason is because it doesn't have an install date anywhere, and when I'm in construction, I don't put an install date either, but if I replace it, I do put an install date. But what we'll do is we will compare our old anode to a new one. All right, so this is the difference between a brand new anode and an old anode. So this one here is the nice brand new one. You can see that the rod goes on the inside of the anode. The new one has the same thing. And then this is all pitted. But if you replace your anode every 3 to 5 years, that is the best way to maximize the life of your water heater. Alright, to service a water heater, these are the tools. So this is a water heater element socket. This is 1.5 inches. As you can see, I've never actually used it. This is a 27 millimeter socket. This is for the anode. Like I said, I had to use a 1/2 inch impact because a breaker bar in the socket wasn't enough on this water heater. And then here's a small flathead. The flathead will be for adjusting the element temperatures and opening the boiler drain. All right, I went ahead and I cut a hole in the tank so you guys can see. So here, this is the anode. So it broke apart and it was inside the tank. But looking at our tank, so we have the outer casing. We have, it looks like probably about 1.5 inches, 2 inches worth of foam. And then the actual wall of the tank. So the tank is an 1/8 inch thick. So this here, this is the dip tube off the cold. So the cold brings cold water to the very bottom of the tank. As the water comes up the tank, it starts to get warmer. So we have our bottom element there. We have our top element here. Our hot picks right off the top. All right, so our drain is right there. This is our bottom element, our top element, our dip tube. So there is our TMP, our hot picks right up off the very top of the tank, and that is what's left of our anode. Now, I don't see any crack or anything in this tank. So what I believe happened was right where the weld is where it started leaking here. But what I will do is I'll throw in the anode right now so we can see what's left of the anode at the top. And then you can see what a brand new anode will look like. Alright, so there is our brand new anode and it goes all the way to the bottom of the tank. But guys, this is what a water heater looks like on the internal side. I've never actually cut one of these things open before, but they're fairly basic. And For the elements, if you can test them, replace them yourself, you're going to save yourself easily well over $100 because no one's going to come out for less than that. And the elements are probably 20 bucks. They're not expensive. So in the very bottom, you can see how there's a raised portion, and then water goes all the way around the outside. So the drain, you can see how much will be left in the actual tank, even if you flush the tank out on a regular basis. I mean, I'm sure everything over here doesn't really move all that much, but flushing out your tank it's free maintenance, and you should do it at least once, and I'd say more like twice a year, to help maximize the life of your tank. But you can see all the sediment that is still here. And the water that came out of here was very rusty. It was very dirty. Alright guys, so that concludes the overview of an electric water heater. So this one was about 15 years old, and I'm sure there was no maintenance done to it, but once every twice a year, flush out your water heater, open the drain at the very bottom. If you don't, and you have a massive amount of accumulation, you'll run into the problem I did where water wasn't flowing out of it. I was actually rocking the tank trying to get it out, and that's when the flow of water picked up. And the rust water, it was like a dark red. It almost looked like blood. That's how bad it was. So if you do your maintenance, you're flushing out every 6 months to a year, then you're going to minimize the amount of accumulation in the tank. And then the other form of maintenance is changing out your anode. This is more complicated. You need to shut the tank down, drain it down a little bit because the anode is at the very top, and then take a 27 mil socket. I needed a 1/2 inch impact to get it off. I couldn't get it with a breaker bar, so there's something to be aware of. But changing out the anode is hands down. It'll be the best way to maximize the life of your water heater. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something. I hope the information here is going to help you to maintain and maximize the life of your electric water heater. Guys, until next time, please hit the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next project.